Hey, good morning, everybody. I am sorry I did not get my manners video done yesterday. I actually tried to do it and I didn't have any volume to it. And I did it a second time and I still had no volume. And then by the time I checked either of the two videos by around 1 o'clock when I got back here, they worked. So I don't know what was going on, but I think I'm having some issues with my phone, to be quite honest with you, but we'll see what happens. So now today's video is going to be what yesterday's was supposed to be, and then I'll just make up the others later. So here's today's manner. Today's manner is that if somebody is bullying you, let an adult know. And that needs to be your teacher, number one. So I need to take a minute, though, and define and talk about what bullying really is. Because we use this word very quickly sometimes when anybody does anything that we don't like. Oh, they're bullying me. No, they're not. No, they're not. Hold on. So bullying is a very specific thing. So if somebody says something that hurts your feelings, or they do something that bothers you and gets you upset, that person was maybe just being rude, right? We've all had bad days. We've all had days when we come, and sometimes our patience isn't what it needs to be. And so if somebody's standing in line, we might even just say something like, gosh, will you hurry? And the tone we say it, that means the way it sounds to the other person, the tone in our voice, or even our facial expressions might show that we're frustrated. And that person just thinks, gosh, they're so mean. They're bullying me. No, that was them just being rude. Doing something one time, they didn't mean to hurt your feelings. It was unintentional. It just was a bad day, whatever, right? They were being rude. Now, some people, they do this a little more often. They're just mean. They're doing it to purposely hurt your feelings. They're doing it to show you that they don't really care. That's being mean. That's a mean person. And sometimes we can be mean because we're just having a rough week. Maybe we've had a rough day. But it can be just, they're being mean, right? And yeah, it hurts your feelings, or they said something that was mean, that they tried to hurt your feelings. Who knows, right? But that's just being mean. Bullying is when they've done it numerous times. They almost seek you out and target you. You don't see them sometimes doing it to other people. They might do it to a couple other kids and you. And so they're seeking out those 2 or 3 kids. That might be a bully, right? So they're targeting. They're doing it to be purposefully mean. It also has to be repeated, so it happens often, not just a one time, not just for a week. Like, this is something that continues to go on. And the last one is there really needs to be an imbalance of power. That's the tricky one, because a lot of kids have a hard time seeing that. And sometimes as adults, it's hard to see too. But an imbalance of power is a really easy way to look at it is like, let's say 3 people come over to one person and they all start saying mean and rude things. That is definitely an imbalance of power, right? 3 versus 1. Or let's say you worry that if you stood up or if you said anything or if you told somebody, then it would get worse. Like, they would be even more horrible to you. That's an imbalance of power. If you're afraid in any way to say something, do something, then that person for some reason has power over you. So that's an imbalance of power. So those are the real definitions of being a bully. So if somebody just did something rude, hurt your feelings, makes you sad, they were being rude. If somebody is grumpy and they're trying to be mean to people, they're trying to get people to cry or trying to be mean to people, trying to make them feel bad, whatever, that person's mean. But see, they weren't targeting just you. It hasn't been repetitive over a long period of time, or even over numerous times during a month, or even like every couple days, a week they're doing this. Then you may have a bully. If they're doing those things, you may have a bully. So talk to an adult because they can help. The first one's your teacher. Always talk to your parents and see if they can help you solve those problems. But the first person you need to talk to is your teacher. And we want you to report those things. Notice I use that word, and teachers, please help us start to shift this a little bit. Reporting is when somebody has done something that's hurtful, mean, rude, whatever, that's reporting. If I'm in class and my neighbor hasn't gotten out their math book yet, and I raise my hand and say, hey, Mrs. Fred, I'm going to make up a name. I'll use Travis. Travis hasn't gotten out his math book yet. Your teacher can take care of that. They can probably see it. That's tattling. That's not what we want at school. Your teachers can take care of that stuff. If somebody's digging in their desk and messing around with things and doing that kind of stuff, you don't need to tell your teacher. They can take care of that, right? That's tattling if you're trying to tell your teacher. They're playing in their desk. They're chewing on their pencil. Those things aren't hurting anybody else, right? That's tattling if you try to tell your teacher about those things. Reporting is that there's a kid that's doing something that's hurtful. There's a kid that's doing something that's wrong that could hurt somebody else, right? That's reporting. Those are the things you need to bring to us, because those are the things that make our school a worse school when kids do that stuff. When they're out there doing things, and instead of tagging with 2 fingers, they're shoving kids with 1 whole hand, right? Or they're playing football, and instead of doing a 2-hand touch, and again, it should be 2 fingers, but instead of doing a 2-hand touch, they're grabbing kids and pulling them to the ground. That's reporting. We need to know those things, because that kid shouldn't be playing football then, right? We don't want mean, hurtful things happening at school. We know some kids are going to mess around their desk. We know some kids sometimes don't always hear the direction of take out the math book, or sometimes they hear it and they just get busy or distracted doing something else. The teacher will remind them. And instead of trying to tell the teacher, why don't you just turn to your neighbor and say, hey, remember, you got to take your math book out. Or don't forget your math book, right? That's being helpful. So report and let some adult, especially your teacher, know if you think you're being bullied, and we can help you work through it. All right? Have an awesome day today. It's Friday. Let's have a good one. We'll see you soon.